Okay. So we'll sit for a few minutes. Chant Omkar. Close your eyes. Breathing in. Om. 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 Hari Om Tat Sat. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Ganeshaya Namaha. Chari. So the last time Ravana died, and Vibhishana was refused to do the last rites because he said he was a bad person. He did so much of adharma, I will not do his antim samskara. But then Rama got very angry. He said, a person's good or bad is there only so long as the body is there. Because a good and bad are part of the Pancha Mahabhutas which make up the body. They are not part of the Atma. So when a person dies, all relationship finishes, all good and bad and everything finishes at that time. So you cannot judge somebody. And he says, after all, he was a person who was a very great being, and he was a great musician, he was a great um, um, warrior, and he was a very great tapasvi also at one time. Later, when we finish, I will tell you the rahasyam of the Ramayana, how Rama knew. So he says, if you don't do it, I will do the rituals. So Vibhishana feels ashamed and he says, no, I'll do it. And when he is doing the rituals, he actually bursts out crying because after all, it was his brother, no? So they describe all the funeral ceremonies that are done, and then uh, all the wives come and they cry, and then Mandodari comes and she also cries. She says that how can you were such a brave soldier, even you defeated Indra and all the gods in heaven, person of that caliber, because you had some lust for a woman, you went and brought the whole of Lanka down with you. Everything went down with you, she says. And then um, she cries, and then they all go away. Then what Rama does, he tells Hanuman to bring some water from the ocean, and he coronates Vibhishana the king immediately, because he says no kingdom should be without a king. Now Rama has a quality that if he starts something, he will finish it. He will not leave it halfway. There will be a closure to all his actions. That's why he is called Krita Kritya. So what happens is, he had promised Vibhishana he will make him the king after Ravana is defeated. The minute Ravana was defeated, he didn't wait for any time. He immediately crowned Vibhishana. The same way, when Vali died, immediately he coronated Sugriva. And how did he do that? He asked he didn't coronate them. He sent Lakshmana in because he had taken a vow that he will live like a sannyasi. He will not be part of any city. He will not enter any town or city. He will remain in the forest. So he followed whatever he said to the last bit. And then um, he then asks permission from Vibhishana. Can I send Hanuman to go and tell Sita the news and bring her? Because now Vibhishana is the king. So Hanuman goes. I think I must have mentioned this earlier, no? Hanuman goes to Sita and he tells her the message that the Rakshasas have been killed and now Rama is victorious. He has asked to see you. So she wants to go just as she is. So Vibhishana is also there. Vibhishana says, no, Rama wanted to see you well dressed with ornaments and everything. At which time Hanuman is thinking to himself that Rama also is like any other person. He wants to see his wife looking all dressed up and all, not in a dirty and um, dust ridden way, which is how she is. So Rama understands, and later he will tell him, do you know why I asked her to be well dressed? Because she was sitting and crying all these months in Ravana's palace, in the Ashokavana. And after somebody was saying something. Okay, and after Ravana was defeated, now that Vibhishana is going to be the king, I cannot give my bhakta a broken down kingdom. I have to make it prosperous before I give it to him. So I wanted her to dress up and go out because she will remove all the negativity as she's going. It's Lakshmi Kataksham. Lakshmi's vision goes everywhere and all that is broken and all that will come up again. And I will be handing him a prosperous kingdom. That is why I said it, he says. So then Sita goes. And when Sita goes there, what happens is um, she goes in the um, palanquin that is carried by people. And when she goes there, the monkeys come around wanting to see her because they've never seen her. They've fought for her. They've sacrificed everything, their lives also, but they don't know for whom they've sacrificed. It's out of respect for Rama. So they all rush to see her, and Vibhishana um, asks the. Can you hear me?
Yes, Ji, we can hear you well.
Okay, because suddenly it all went blank. That's why I asked. So he says that Rama says, ask her to get out of the palanquin and let her walk on foot towards me because these monkeys have given their life to save her. So they must know for whom they have done it. After all, she is their mother. Remove the veil from her face and let them see her, which is supposed to be the meaning is that she is the mother of the world. So, and the mother of the world is the Sri Vidya mantra, Sri Chakra Upasana. That is the mother of the world. It is for her that it is done. Tripura Sundari. So he says what he is telling them is that these monkeys have earned the right with their loyalty and dedication. So they have earned the right to have the darshan of Sri Vidya, the face of the mother. So the monkeys see her and then she comes and she goes walking very, very softly towards Rama because she hasn't seen him for such a long time. She's a bit shy of also. And she walks towards Rama gently and then Rama looks at her and he says, she asks him, how are you? It's like you meet somebody after some time, how are you? And he is thinking here she is coming all well dressed and fresh and all that, and he is so full of dust and just out of the war. He hasn't gone and had a shower or anything like that. And then he tells her uh, this. He said, because my wife was stolen, I have been insulted as a Kshatriya. And so I came and I conquered the enemy on the field of battle. And because of that, I have been able to save you. So whatever dosha there was in me, as a Kshatriya who did not take care of his wife, otherwise it's a humiliation for him. No, I have finished with that humiliation. Everybody has seen my metal now and how warrior like I am. But um, um, it wasn't only me, it was Hanuman who leaped over the ocean, it was Sugriva who came and fought for me, and it was Vibhishana who personally came to me and leaving his own brother and came and surrendered to me. All these people were responsible for your um, being rescued. And then he says to her that whatever a man can do by revenging an insult has been accomplished by me by killing him, Ravana. So you have, my mind is purified because I have been able to rescue you. I've done my duty. That's what he's saying. And because this war has been successfully carried out, it was not done for your sake. And he says, let you have prosperity, but it was not done for your sake. It was done by me to show my good conduct and also to remove the stigma on my house. House meaning um, the lineage, the Surya Kulam. So, in although people could be suspicious with regard to your um, behavior because you have been um, in the house of a bad chap for so many months. So, I'm showing you all the 10 directions. Now there is no more need for me to have you here. Which man born in a noble family would take back his wife who has been in somebody else's house just because she has been nice to him in the past? So he says, even Ravana, while carrying you away, you were squeezed in his arms and looked by him with a lust. So wherever you want, you can go now. Anyway, I've rescued you. So you can go to Lakshmana's place or Vibhishana's place, even Bharata or Shatrughna or Sugriva, wherever you want, wherever you feel comfortable, please go ahead and go to that place. So Sita, when she heard that, she was very, very angry and upset. So she says that, why do you talk like a common man to me? She's reminding him of who he is. She says it's such unkind and unbecoming words. Don't think I'm like other people. I am saying that I have always been pure and I have never thought about anybody else in mind, body, or speech. So when I came into contact with Ravana, I didn't go of my own free will. I was kidnapped, and that too kicking and shouting. So she says, um, in spite of having lived with me so many years, that is in the time of their marriage and all that, I'm surprised that you should have such suspicions for me. And she says, if you thought like that, why did you um, send Hanuman to find me? You could have said it then and there itself. Or when you came after Hanuman told you that I'm a prisoner here, why did you come to fight? You could have just left me to myself, no? She says. And these things are said by Rama and Sita to each other. Valmiki puts this in to get the common people to understand their thoughts. This is how the common people speak, even in those times. So, this is like an act they're performing through Valmiki. So, people know how the generations at that time, their value systems. Then she turns to Lakshmana and she says, you please make a funeral pyre for me I will give up my life, no problem. Light the fire. I will go into the fire. So Lakshmana looks at Rama to see whether he will say, no, don't do it or anything like that. Rama is standing quiet and without the least bit um, disturbed. So Lakshmana prepared this fire for her, and everybody was so scared of Rama at that occasion because he is keeping quiet and the wife is going to jump into the fire, and nobody is saying anything because they are sort of like scared because he commands that sort of respect. Then she says to the fire, she says, my heart has never turned away from Sri Rama. May this Agni Sakshi, they say, no, for everything. That is, Agni is the first um, Sankalpa Shakti of the divine in every person. So we go according to the destiny he decides through his willpower, which is Agni. So let Rama, who thinks I am um, not of a decent conduct, let the fire, the witness of the world, protect me on all sides if I have been pure in my heart. So she then goes round the fire as a mark of respect to Agni, and then she entered the flaming fire with a fearless mind. She just walked into it like she was going into the hall. And people and old people who saw this, they started crying because they were so shocked all this happened. Because before they could think all this happened. So when she went into the fire, all the women who were there started screaming because they were shocked. Then what happened? The um, gods come there. Yama, Indra, Brahma, all of them, Kubera, all of them come there and they tell Rama, they said, why are you behaving like an ordinary man? Aren't you aware of the fact that you are the Parabrahman, the Paramatma? And he says, just like Krishna says, among this I'm that, like that, he says, you are Rudra of the 11 Rudras. And you are the, among all the Vasus, that is um, it's a class of gods. He says, you are the main one who was first at one time a creator of the three worlds. You are there in the beginning of time as well as at the end of time. And yet you are ignoring Sita as if you are just an ordinary man like anybody else. And in Valmiki Ramayana, he makes Rama says, I think I am just a human being, Rama by name, and born from Dasharatha. And let Brahma tell me what I am actually and from where I have come. Because I count myself as an ordinary human being. It says Atmanam Manusham Manye. I feel that I'm just an ordinary man. Why are you saying that I am the Parabrahman and all that? Then Brahma comes and he says, listen, Rama, you are Lord Narayana himself. You are the one who holds the Sudarshana Chakra. You have come as Varaha Avatara. You are imperishable Parabrahman. The truth being in the beginning, in the middle, and also the end of the universe. You are the supreme Dharma in all the worlds. You are the four-armed Lord, Sri Hari. And you are the Mahavishnu as well as Krishna. You are Lord Kartikeya, he says. You are the faculty, the Viveka Shakti, the Karuna Shakti, the sense control. You have sense control. You are the origin of everybody in the universe. You are the one who has created every being, including me as Brahma. And he says, you are the Omkar, and you are higher than the highest. People don't know who you are in reality. You alone are manifested in all created beings. You are endowed with, he's referring to um, the what's it called? Purusha Suktam, which says that um, uh, the glorious being has thousands of feet, hundreds of heads, thousands of eyes, they say in the Purusha Suktam. This is who you are, he says. And he says, the whole manifest universe will not exist except for the fact that you have made it stay. And after all, who is Sita? She is a goddess Lakshmi. You are Krishna, who is all truth. You are the Lord of all created beings. For the destruction of Rama, you entered into a human body because that was the only way he could have been killed. And since he is already killed and you have liberated him, Rama, those who are full of devotion will never be unsuccessful in death. That is, whoever has devotion to Rama, Rama will remove, just by their devotion, he will remove all the difficulties they have and give him liberation. They give them liberation. That's what he is saying. Having said all this, while just when he finished saying, the Agni came out of the fire, taking Sita in his arms. And he put her in front of Rama and he says to that, um, here is your spouse Sita. I have seen her, because Agni is always a Sakshi. I have seen her. She is so pure. She has never been unfaithful to you, even in her mind. In fact, she is burning with that Pati Vrata fire that even I am not able to stand that fire, he says. And Rama, of course, was very happy to hear it. And he says, I needed this, I did this only for two reasons. One, because if I were to take her back straight without proving to the world that she is pure, people will one day talk about Sita. And they'll say, see, Rama took back this woman who was in somebody else's house. So the people will say, so why should I also not do the same thing? Then it will remove the morals in society. So I have to set an example. That was one reason. Another reason, if people had mistaken Sita, then they would have talked about her in such a way that it would have broken her heart. And I could not have lived and seen her being hurt by peoples while talk. And so I did it only to prove to the world that Sita was pure. He says, as if I don't know her purity, even though she was so frail. Ravana could not even dare to touch her. He could not have touched her, otherwise the whole of Lanka would have burned then and there. She could have killed everybody with her strength alone. So, and then while they were talking, all the gods and goddesses, everybody has come because they are happy that Ravana has been killed. And then they watch one chariot coming down from up, and out of this chariot, King Dasharatha descends. And Dasharatha says to him, see, you have made me become truthful by keeping my word, by going to the forest. And you have done such a great service to all the gods by killing Ravana, who had complete control over everything that was good. And he hugs Rama and he says, whatever you want, ask me, whether you want to be in heaven or you want to be known in the worlds everywhere about your valor, whatever you want, you ask me, I can give you, now that I'm not in the body. So Rama says only one thing. He says, when I went to the forest, you um, said you would not, Kaikeyi is not your wife, and Bharata is not your son because she is born of Kaikeyi. I want you to take back Kaikeyi in the same affectionate way as you did earlier. And I want you also to accept Bharata as your son. So he says, be gracious to both of them, because you know that um, that curse should not come on Kaikeyi and Bharata. So the king Dasharatha says, yes, I will. I'll take it back. And knowing that you are alive and everything is okay, I don't have to worry about anything else. And then he calls Sita to him and he says, see, don't get, just because Rama spoke to you harshly at this time, don't keep it in your mind. He was only trying to demonstrate your purity to everybody, and your getting inside and coming out will give you such a name that no other woman in the world will have such a fame as a pure person. At that time, all the gods were happy because they were all under suppression by Ravana. Because he died, they were all set free. So this one, Rama looks at Indra, and Indra tells him, he thanks him with gratitude for all that is done. And he tells Indra, he says, you want to do me any favor because of that, please bring all these monkeys who have died back to life, because they've left their families and they've come. And uh, they have given up their lives for me. So if you can, I want you to give them all life again. And then Indra said, what you have asked me is hard to grant, because those who have died, they have died. We cannot bring them back to life again. But because you have asked me, not because he has fought with Ravana, because he um, acknowledges him as the Mahavishnu, and he says, you have asked me, so I will bring them all back to life. So immediately he blessed them, and all those who had died came back to life. And they were all very surprised what is happening, because they died in the middle of the war. They didn't know that Ravana died and Sita has come back and all that. So after all this, everybody went back. And Vibhishana tells Rama, I was never able to take care of you when I was with you, but now that I'm king, I can look after you well. Why don't you stay 2-3 days, and whatever food you all like, I will give you. Whatever comforts I can give you, I'll give you. But Rama is very steadfast, because he said for 14 years he will not step into any town or comfort zone. He will live like an ascetic. So he tells Vibhishana, you can call the monkeys and give them all that food and all that, but I have to go immediately, because Bharata will be waiting there for me, and Bharata will be very, very upset even if I'm one day late. So Vibhishana told him, okay, get into the Pushpaka Vimana. I have this. In a day, it can take you to Ayodhya. So when Rama went and said, Vibhishana said, I also will come with you. And he gave him all special clothes and everything, which he didn't wear, of course. And then all the monkeys were very interested. They also wanted to go in the Pushpaka Vimana. So they all got into it, including Vibhishana. Pushpaka Vimana had a quality that when the more number of people comes, it will expand to fit them. So you can't say there is no place at all. So they all got in, and they were going towards Ayodhya. And all along the way, um, Rama points out to Sita the different places that certain things had happened, including when they were together. He says, see, this is Chitrakoot, where we used to play and be very happy at one time. Then this is this place where we were carried away. Then this was the place where I met Hanuman, where I met Sugriva. And the reason he did this was that Sita will look with her eyes at all these places and spread that Lakshmi Kataksham over those places. So even Dandakaranya forest, which was such a terror for everybody, where he killed Virata and Karadushana and all of them, became a beautiful place without any evil there, without any negativity. So that was why he was pointing out places to Sita, so that when her eyes fall on a particular place, um, she will purify that place and make it prosperous. Then they reach um, the hermitage of Bharadwaja Rishi, and they get down because Rama thought he must say namaskaram to him. And at the same time, he wants to know what is happening in Ayodhya also, because Bharata has been there alone, no? He must know what's happening. So when he goes there and he'll ask um, Bharata, he says, I hope there is no illness in Ayodhya and Bharata is active, ruling well. And my mothers also, all three of them, are they alive? And Bharadwaja says, I never go into these places, but I've heard from people and I've heard that Bharata is keeping your Paduka and worshipping it, and um, he feels that Paduka is you. And keeping it there, he is um, governing the country. And I'm told that he governs it so well that the economy has become big, rains are coming on time, and everything is in a very good shape. Only thing, they miss you. So then, having heard all that, Bharadwaja tells him, well, you must be tired. Why don't you stay overnight and go next morning? At which time, Rama calls Hanuman and he says, you go and tell um, Bharata about this and that we are on the way. So let him not feel that we are not coming on the particular day he said that we should be back. Because Bharata had said that if Rama does not come back exactly after 14 years, on the day the 14 years finishes, he said, I will kill myself. Means I will commit suicide by entering the fire. So Rama knows that Bharata loves him so much he could not wait 1 minute extra. So he sends Hanuman, and Hanuman goes to the place where he is, that is Sringaverapura, where um, Bharata is staying. He is not staying in Ayodhya because he says, if Rama can't enter Ayodhya, I will also not enter Ayodhya. Rama is in the forest. I will be like an ascetic myself. He wears an ascetic's robe, and his wife, who um, he said, you go and look after the mothers and all that. She said, no, I will stay here and I will also be like Sita, Mandakini. So um, Bharata gets this news. At that time, he was planning to enter the fire. And he was telling Shatrughna, I'm going to enter the fire. When Rama comes, you say, you invite him, and then you can be the next. Instead of me, you can be the prince in charge. So, meanwhile, because he came and said it, um, Hanuman comes and um, refreshes him, saying that everything is okay. And Hanuman says when he looks at Bharata that he thinks he is a second dharma clothed in a body, because he has so much tejas, because he lived in such a way. Then Bharata was very happy. He fainted with joy. Then he got up. He embraced Ravana. I'm saying he embraced Hanuman. And then he does, um, he says, the first time after 14 years, I'm hearing some good news in that way. Then he asks, how did it happen? How did Rama fight with Ravana? How did he kill him? All that. And Hanuman sat down there and he said the whole story of the Ramayana, what happened. Then he said, let us quickly go to Nandigram, from where they will go to bring Rama um, in a procession, sort of with all the respect. So he takes some good clothes and jewels and everything, and he tells the people in Ayodhya to make everything ready for Rama to come back. And he goes there, and Rama immediately, he says, they meet each other and they're very happy. So he has brought a chariot for Rama to go to Ayodhya. So they say thanks to the Pushpaka Vimana, and they send it back to Kubera, because it belonged to Kubera, not to Vibhishana. Belonged to Kubera. And that was the honesty of Rama, everything to the correct person, that sort of thing. And then they go to Ayodhya, and when they go to Ayodhya from Nandigrama, everybody follows them. The people are very happy. There is no more danger anywhere around. And when he comes to Ayodhya, Bharata tells him, you gave me the kingdom of Ayodhya, and I give it back to you now, just in the same way you gave it to me. Then he says, I'm not able to bear this burden anymore. And Rama asks him, what has happened with the kingdom in my absence, like anybody coming and taking charge. And then he says that um, uh, that after Rama left, the kingdom has become 10 times better economically. So Rama tells Bharata, you're really terrific because your governance has increased the prosperity of the kingdom. And Bharata tells him, no, it wasn't me. It was it was the power of your padukas that made it happen. So you'll see that the whole Ramayana is a book with regards to bhakti and surrender. At every level, different people surrender and different people are liberated. At no point you see anybody, except for that little episode of Kaikeyi, you never see anybody becoming arrogant because of what they have. So Bharata then asked Shatrughna and the monkeys like um, Hanuman and all to go get water from the various seas to do Abhishekam for Rama, which is the procedure before he is becoming the king. And they describe how each of them go to different places. And Hanuman goes to the Arctic Ocean and brings water. And then they had this Rama was dressed in dazzling clothes and jewelry and all that, and he was um, coronated by Vasishta. And different gods came and gave different gifts. Like Vayu Bhagavan gave a golden garland with 100 lotuses of gold for Rama to wear, like this. And eventually, the Angada gave a diamond and precious stones to um, to Sita. And then the Vayu Bhagavan also gave a pearl necklace to the best sea natural pearls to Rama. And then after everything was over, Rama saw Sita was looking at him occasionally, like trying to catch his attention. He knew what she thought. So what he did was he took off that pearl necklace which he had given her. What the Vayu Bhagavan gave it to Rama, Rama gave it to Sita, and Sita, she takes that and she says, you can give that pearl necklace to whoever you think is worthy of having it. Whoever you want, you give it, he says. So she takes it off and she puts it on Hanuman. And then Hanuman was wearing it for some time, and they are getting ready to go for dinner. And suddenly Hanuman um, takes that mala and he breaks it and is chewing it. And people are shocked. So they ask him, why are you chewing up that Mala, pearl in those days, the pearls were much more famous than diamonds. Diamonds is only a modern thing, contemporary. For very long time, till about 50, 60 years ago, diamonds were not given a major standing because anybody could get diamonds. It was like that. But pearls were very, very special. That is why you will see Rama also wearing pearls here and there. So the pearls necklace is called as Vatasaram. Vatasaram. That word came down through local conversation and it became Vada Male. So now people, when they want to um, propitiate Hanuman, they will give a um, garland of vadas made to him. As Vadamale, we will give to Hanuman in temples. But actually, it is the misunderstanding of the word Vatasaram. Vata means a pearl necklace. So then Rama wanted to give out gifts to people, and then he called all these three girls, Mandavi, Shrutakirti, and Urmila. Urmila was Lakshmana's wife. Mandavi was Bharata's wife, and Shrutakirti was Shatrughna's wife. So he said, what can I give you? Because they have made great sacrifices. Now, even Rama went. Urmila, his wife, she stayed back. And at least Rama had Sita around for 13 years. Only 1 year she was captured. And Lakshmana, Urmila stayed back. Bharata was like a ascetic. And Mandavi said, I will also serve you like Rama. So they lived like an ascetic, both she and he. And so did Shrutakirti. So they have all sacrificed their lives. And then Sumitra says that when she heard from Hanuman that um, Lakshmana was lying, dying in the battle because you remember when Hanuman comes with the mountain, Bharata shoots him because his shadow goes on the Padukas and then he falls down and he tells them the story. So when he says that I'm taking this mountain with the herbs to save Lakshmana's life, immediately Sumitra is thinking in her mind, if something happens to Lakshmana, I must get Shatrughna ready to go and help Rama. That was um, that is what she thought of. So you can see the caliber of each of these people. So then he asks the girls what can he give them for the sacrifice they did. Urmila says, I want nothing. I'm happy to be born in this as a daughter-in-law in this family. Mandakini and Shrutakirti, one says that give me the uh, your old that bark dress that they used to wear in the um, forest. Give me that dress, that old dress of yours. So I want to keep it preserved so that whenever I look at it, I will remember how the a king of the caliber of Rama just took voluntary exile and went away for 14 years. And I will remember that the sacrifice he did and what a um, noble model he set for his people. And that will remind me that everything is not always permanent, kingship or difficulty. And the other girl says that I forgot what she said. Something very similar, she says. So they show how each of these people in the Ramayana is exemplary in the way they are ready to sacrifice for for Rama, for the dharma that Rama stood for, and how they supported each other in this great war that was between dharma and adharma, how each one contributed what they could in different ways towards a struggle. They may not have accompanied Rama, but staying where they were, they did what they needed to do so that his war would be successful. So then there was the Pattabhisheka of Rama, and when Vasishta did the Pattabhisheka, and then they say that when he sprinkled the water on Rama, the Rama Rajya was born, and the few drops fell on Hanuman, who was sitting underneath, and the Bhakti Rajya of Hanuman also was born at that time. So now you have to see the rahasyas of the Ramayana. The story is over. So the main tattva here is that you cannot separate Vishnu, Shiva, and Shakti. In fact, in Puri, it is these three, Vishnu, Shiva, and Shakti, which are shown as Rama, as Krishna, Balarama, and Subhadra. That's how they show it. Now, why does this happen is because Ambal, that is the Devi, and Vishnu are the same. This Devi is the Shakti of Vishnu. And where you see Vishnu as Ardhanarishwara, they are actually talking about Narayana and Shiva together. Why? Because the Shakti of Vishnu is called Narayani or Vaishnavi. And even in the Devi Mahatmyam, when they say that Shiva and Shakti came, and Shakti, the mother Parashakti, came and defeated all these Rakshasas at the end, they will sing a praise to Narayani. They don't say Shivani or, Shiva, uh, Parvati or anything. They sing a praise to Narayani. Why? Because the sustaining power of Rama was called Narayani, and she was the most important player of that role. Now, because there are two men there, for average understanding, I'm saying there is Shiva and there is Vishnu, and there is only the mother standing there, Narayani. So they said that for the sake of understanding for people, they said that she is Vaishnavi, or she Narayani is the sister of Vishnu, because they were born together. She was born in Yashoda's house and he was born in Devaki's house, and they exchanged the babies. So it was nothing but his own power, his Yoga Maya, his Vishnu Maya, and that Vishnu Maya is Narayani, and she is the Shakti. When she is married, she is married to Shiva. So that is how you will see the Madurai Meenakshi weddings and all that. You will see Vishnu giving her over as a brother to Shiva. Now, as you know generally, that if you have a consciousness, whatever activity you do, it is your Shakti. You cannot separate them. If you have honey, it is sweet. You can't say remove the sweetness from the honey. Because if you remove the sweetness from the honey, it is no more honey. So for that consciousness to have an identity, it has a certain energy and role, and that energy that it has is its Shakti. So Shiva and Shakti are not two. Shiva's Shakti is dynamic. Shakti's Shiva is consciousness, which is a little inert. Now, when Shakti and Shiva are not separable, and then Narayana and the same Shakti called Narayani are not separable, she is called as one man's sister and one man's wife for ordinary human purposes. But the point is that she is the creator of the entire universe. She is the mother. It is through her womb that manifestation happens. And Vishnu sustains these forces. And this was told by the Kanchi Mahaperiyava, the rahasya of this. And he says, if you look at the Ramayana itself, you will see that Ravana was a very great Shiva Bhakta, very great Shiva Bhakta. And he even tried to lift up the Kailash Parvata, the Himalaya there, where Shiva and Shakti were staying. And when it shook, Shiva pressed it down with one toe, and mountain stopped there with Ravana's head underneath. So when Ravana came, he let him go, and he was so fond of Shiva, he wanted to bring Shiva as Shivalingam, Shiva's own lingam, Atma lingam, and keep it in the Ashoka Vanam and worship it. That was his great desire. But because he had the Rakshasa guna, and he was a very great ascetic, he has done tremendous tapas, and he was a Samavedin. He would make music, ragas he has created, and he has defeated all the gods, mighty person and very good looking. Everything was there with him, but because he had the Rakshasa guna, he his that bhakti he had for Shiva became distorted, and that distortion was turned towards Shiva. So who is Shiva now? Shiva is Sita, whom he brought and kept in the Ashokavana, because that was his desire, and he had an infatuation for her. But he couldn't touch her, because at some level he knew this is his Ishta Devata. So Shiva is none other than Sita, and Rama was none other than Shakti or Narayani or Durga, or the power of uh, Narayana. So you have Shiva and Vishnu, Shiva and Narayana together. That is why they are called Shankara Narayana. In temples, you will find them like that. So he had a glimpse of the Avatara Rahasya when he brought Sita, to the extent that when he first meets Hanuman, he will ask in the Valmiki Ramayana, he'll say, Kim Meshe Bhagavan Nandi. So is this Nandi? He will ask. Why would he think of Nandi? Because somewhere in his unconscious mind he knew this is my Shiva in this form. He didn't know it clearly in his mind, but what he wanted, he got. He brought that what he wanted to the Ashokavana and literally worshipped her, because he never treated her badly. He could not even touch her, but he was so, that bhakti towards that old devotion came up, and that was one reason Shiva came as Sita and allowed himself to be kidnapped, because this was Narayana and Shiva's way of liberating Ravana from his negativity and his um, terrible karma of hating the divine and separating the mother and father of the universe, Shiva and Shakti. So when Parashakti, that is the Rama, when he was called Maragada Mani Vannan, that is, he is like the emerald, his colors. So you will see in pictures, whenever she is shown along with Vishnu and Shiva together, she is green in color. When she is shown as just Vishnu, Shakti, Narayani, she is rose red in color, because the Rajasic component. But otherwise, she will look green in color, just like Rama was called Marakada Manivanna. That is, he too was like a sapphire. They said bluish green sapphire. So she, Devi came, Durga came as Rama, and Shiva came as Sita. This is the Tattvam of the Ramayana. And this is the what they call as Shankara Narayana. This particular aspect where Shiva and Narayana, that is Vishnu, are the same. There is no need for anybody to fight between Vaishnavites and Shaivites and things like that. They are the same. And she is the Shakti of both, in the sense that she is sister of one, his Maya, and she is the wife of another, Shakti. So that is why you will find even in Chidambaram temple, where Shiva dances. You will find in Shiva's heart the figure of Vishnu, and near the door there is a Vishnu there, and that Vishnu has in his heart the form of Shiva. And they are talking about Rama being Advaita, only one, because um, the same Advaita Bhavana, there are no two devatas in heaven. Now there is another little thing. Is it time? 11:30. Okay. Rama Raksha Stotram. Rama Raksha Stotram is very powerful, and the um, meanings at some places are that they say, Rama, protect me here, protect me there, protect me in my body. So they say, Raghava, protect my head. Why the head? Because he presides over the Annamaya Kosha, the physical material world. As the bhumi is made of him, he is one of the Panchatattvas in that sense. So in the bhumi, the head of the entire material universe is a symbol of the essence of that universe, the head. So they say, Raghava, protect my head. Because being presiding over Annamaya Kosha, he is the highest there. So protect me in my head. Then he says, Dasharatha's son, protect me in my forehead. Because he is also found in the Manomaya Kosha, the mind. And what is the mind? The mind is drawn by 10 horses. 5 Jnanendriyas and 5 Karmendriyas carry him. And people will say that your destiny is written on your forehead. Why? Because your Agnya Chakra is there. And this destiny, he says, protect me, Dasharatha's son, like you protected your father's word. And then Kausalya's eyes, son, protect my eyes. What do they mean here? That the eyes are the channel of all knowledge and wisdom. I don't know if any of you listen to the story that Ilayaraja, who is a famous musician, talks about his first meeting with the Kanchi Periyava. He says the Kanchi Periyava tells him, sends word to him through somebody that you please build the sixth tier of the Sri Ranganatha temple, which was needing repair. So he says, yes, I'll do that. I'll build the whole thing. Then that man says, no, only the sixth one you should do. There is a story behind that. I'm not going to that now. But he says for the first time when he meets Chandrasekhara Saraswati, that is the Kanchi Periyava, the sage is sitting in Mauna, and when Ilayaraja comes in, he turns and he looks at him. And Ilayaraja says, for that one whole minute, I was kept like a captive in front of the eyes, and I found tears flowing from my eyes. And he says how his life took a turn in a different way after that. So the eyes of great sages are very piercing, and it's a sort of diksha when they look at you with their eyes. So that's why he is saying Kausalya's son. And why Vijnanamaya Kosha? Because all impressions, that is even the hidden, repressed impressions, vasanas, everything will be brought out and seen by the Vijnanamaya Kosha. Then they say one who is dear to Vishwamitra. Everything is a description of Rama in different words. He says the ears, protect my ears. Why? Because he is in the Anandamaya Kosha also. And in the Anandamaya Kosha, he is filled with compassion towards the universe. And how does that happen? Because through the ears you hear the mantra, sound through space. So he says, he who is dear to Vishwamitra, because Vishwamitra was his Vidya Guru. Vasishta gave him the Vidya academically, and it was Vishwamitra who trained him in all the mantras and using the missiles and everything before he went to fight even in the beginning itself, even with the Tataka. And these first three mantras are superimposing the universe on Rama. How are they saying it? That this part of the bodies, that is your Annamaya Kosha, the Manomaya Kosha, Vijnanamaya Kosha, these are like the waking state, dreaming state, and deep sleep state. And over that, they say all this is superimposed on the Turiya, the fourth state, which is the pure consciousness. And Rama, they say, they are giving a hint as to that, that he is Vishwamitra's dear person in Anandamaya Kosha, and all these other koshas, Vijnanamaya, Manomaya, and Annamaya, they are all superimposed on the, and they are impermanent, as against the Anandamaya Kosha, which, like the Advaita Brahman, Parabrahman, on whom all the universes are strung, like he is permanent and whatever else is there, it's all impermanent. So they are trying to, that Rama Raksha is bringing Rama in as the Parabrahman himself. Then they say the protector of Vishwamitra's Yajna, that's the name given, look after my nose. Because what happens to the nose? Nose and taste is where the divine fragrances are experienced. And yajna gives those smells, fragrances. When you do a yajna, you get a certain fragrance in the atmosphere, which is very much like Swarga. And then they say, one whose heart goes out to the son of Sumitra, may he protect my face. Why? Because when his heart goes out to the son of Sumitra, he loves Lakshmana that way. And when his heart goes out, it is his face which will express those emotions. So protect my face. Then they say, um, ordinary people who get moksha, they go to Brahmaloka. But when he gives the moksha, because he is a friend of the Jivatma, they go back to the Lord himself. You don't just be liberated from your difficulties. You are going to, it's a positive thing. You are going to Bhagavan himself. And uh, when other people go to Brahmaloka, people, ordinary people, when Rama is there, you get initiated into the mysteries of the Parabrahman. Like I told you now about this Sita being Shiva and Rama being Shakti or Durga. When you know all that, then you go to Brahmalokam first, and Brahma takes you to the feet of the higher Parabrahman. Then he says, he describes the Ramaraksha Sutram. It's a fountain of all knowledge. Look after my Vidya, that is, look after my speech. Because how do you know him is only through truth. You have to have Shuddha Vak, that is pure speech, Satya Vak, the truthful speech, and Vak Tapas. It is a penance to be able to keep your tongue in such a way that it never creates any unpleasantness or disturbance in somebody else's mind. Somebody else meaning not just another person, it can be a dog, it can be, you can even curse a tree. There are people who will curse their house by Daridramane, they'll say. All that, they say, you will not get the grace of Sri Rama even to listen to the Ramayana. Only if you have been honest and you have had a purity in your speech, meaning positivity. Manaprasada, Swami Niranjan says, then only you will get the grace of being able to understand the Vidya. So then he says, whom Bharata um, is ruled by. Such a Rama, he says, look after my neck. Because karma yoga, that is what Bharata did, karma yoga, um, for Rama's sake. And why the neck? Because the neck is the one that holds all the, it's like when somebody is saying she's sitting on my neck, That's what they say. Your neck holds your brain power and your entire life at one level. If your neck is not there, you will just be a corpse. Then he who wields divine weapons protect my shoulders. Why shoulders are symbols of power? Because you carry things on your shoulders that way. And he who broke the bow of Shiva, who could break it but Shakti, Durga? For him, protect my arms, he says, because from the shoulders the force is channelized through the arms. The arms are the symbol of Kshatriyas, because Kshatriyas are the protective forces of the world. And when they had a Rakshasa called Tripurasura, Shiva had to kill him at one time. And there they made the earth the vehicle. Brahma was the driver, the chariot. Meru was the bow. Mahavishnu was the point of the arrow. So when Shiva killed Tripurasura, Vishnu was the point of the arrow that went in and killed Tripurasura actually. It was sent by Shiva, but the one that killed it was Narayana. Then they say, Lord of Sita, protect my hands. Why? The hands, very unusual in human beings. You have hands that where your thumb holds can move in this way. It can oppose all your fingers. No other animal can do that. Maybe a little with the gorilla, but no other animal can bring its thumb up together like that. So that is a reference to Bala. Remember, I don't know if you remember, the Lakshmana and Rama learned two mantras, Bala and Ati Bala, where you got extraordinary strength, and you could be even without eating and drinking, and you could still have that strength, and you need not sleep for days together because of these two vidyas, which give you unlimited physical strength. That was the Lord of Sita, because it was those hands that brought her back, and she is the Sri Vidya. So this, it refers, Bala is one of the two Vidyas. So one who puts down Parashurama, protect my heart. That is a spiritual splendor of Brahma, Parabrahma, is in the heart, because Ravana destroyed all the worlds that he got by, Rama destroyed all the worlds that Parashurama had won through his tapas. When he broke the bow of Vishnu's bow, which Parashurama gives him, he breaks it, and having broken it, how could he break it, Durga, again? Because she breaks her brother's bow. And the spiritual splendor of Lord Vishnu, which was in that bow, he breaks that also, because Rama destroyed all the worlds that Parashurama had got through tapas. Then the trunk, protect my trunk, he says, the person who killed Kara and others. Because killing them, he gave them a place in his loka. Whoever he kills, they always go to his Vaikunta. And Jambavan was his navel. Navel means Manipur chakra, because Jambavan was through and through he was the first creation of Brahma, and also he was such a wise minister sort of for even Rama, that he was the one when Lakshmana died, he calls Sushena, and then he asks him what to do, and he tells Hanuman right in the beginning, you have got that potential in you. Don't think that you are in any way less. He's like a guru for even Hanuman, that way. So naval, that is a position of power. A guru has a position, has power over a disciple to help the disciple realize his true worth and to manifest it. And Lord of Sugriva, the Thais. The Thais are um, shown as the place where things are um, kept maintained. You have a child, you keep the child on your lap, you don't keep it on your head, because that's a place where things are maintained. And what maintains people generally in the world is the trader mind, the Vaishya mind, where they work with economics. That realm of people, they work with economics and they keep the financial stability comfortable. And they also will negotiate. So they are talking of Sugriva when he tells Rama. Rama says, I will bring your wife back to you, don't worry. And Sugriva says, if you give me back my wife, then I will give you back your wife. This is a negotiation. Whereas Rama just straight off said, I'll get it for you. So for such a person, they are these things that they are talking about, so that you will know why the Rama Raksha Stotram says that. And they say, he who made the Setu Bandhan, the building of the bridge, may he protect my knees. Because why? When, as a child, when you walk, you crawl. And the feet of the child are the knees which crawls. So in relation to samsara, I'm like a child. I'm completely innocent, simple, lost. And he who did the Setu Bandhan, that is, he's the shores of samsara. And samsara is like a sagara. So I am like a child with relation to samsara, the world of samsara. I don't know what to do. You have to protect me, because it's far too overwhelming for me in that sense. And the man who killed 10-headed Ravana, may he protect my ankles. Why? Because ankles are the chief help in the locomotion of an adult. That is, by killing Ravana, he made the world free of evil. Which world? The sadhaka's world, the one who is reading or with devotion saying the Rama Raksha Stotram. That person, he says, he is giving that analogy, is a mature sadhaka. And such a person goes to the ankles, because he remains at um, the ankles are the locomotion. That is, it helps the person move around. And where do we move towards? We move from the samsara towards the divine source, where we say you're the only permanent relief from everything else. So they liken him to the ankles. And then, who gave prosperity to Vibhishana, he protect my feet. Why? Because whoever gives prosperity to Vibhishana, because Vibhishana escaped having avidya. That is why he left everything, came to Rama more than anybody else. Because everybody was with Rama because they were either related to him, Sita was married to him, but Vibhishana left his own family, kith and kin, and came to Rama because that ignorance had gone from him, because he clung to the feet of the Sattvic divine. So he knew some inside that everything else is temporarily. Anitya, this is called Viveka. Viveka is discrimination, and it means that you are able to decipher that which is permanent from what is impermanent. Because today Ravana is his brother, In another lifetime, somebody else will be a brother. Another lifetime, somebody else will be a wife. Another lifetime, somebody else will be your parents. So it's all these are anitya, transient. It won't be the same person. But in every lifetime you come, the Paramatma who is bringing you to the world, he is always the same. So they are saying one who holds the feet, who has bhakti or divinity to the divine, that is Vibhishana. He says, who gave prosperity to Vibhishana? What does he say? That when you hold the feet of the divine, then the divine sees that you are looked after in every way. He gives you prosperity, much more than if you were to work. Just you can't say, I worked hard and I got it. It is the luck you get because His grace falls on you. And if you get the money by the wrong methods, adharmic methods, it will not stay very long. It will go off either in your lifetime or your children's lifetime. So that is why they say, hold the feet of God. Jesus will say, um, seek first the kingdom of heaven and all else will come after that. Don't run after everything else and say, okay, after I make money, after I grow so much old, then I will search for God. What will you do when you're old anyway? You're half step in the grave. Search for Him earlier, then your life will be comfortable when you're living. And Rama, they say the name Rama, and he says, protect my whole body. That is, protect how? He, don't you die someday? Somebody may die. All of us will die one day. We are not immortal. So what? Why does he say the whole body now after describing each particular part? Because the um, he will protect your three vehicles, that is your Stula Sharira, Sukshma Sharira, and the Atma, Karana Sharira, if you want, some people will say. So they say when he removes the dangers on the path, he purifies you and gives you the anugraha, the blessing, the grace in such a way that he makes you qualified to stand before him. So the whole body, he says, body, not necessarily Pancha Mahabhuta body, it could be that also. But the whole of me, give me the blessing to have the qualification to stand in front of Rama. So this is what is the prayer of the Rama Raksha Stotram. If you get it from anywhere, it's a very good um, um, stotram to read on an everyday basis. So this is the story of Rama. And we have finished the Ramayana. What's the time?
Oh,
11:48. Any question? Any questions you have? You're looking stunned, Priya.
No, no questions.
No questions.
Mom, why do you throw him around like that?
Why what? Ask. You remember that the original name of Ramayana that Valmiki gave was Sitaya's Mahacharitam Ramayana. The great story of Sita, the Ramayana. Why Sita? Because she was Durga. I mean, she was Shiva. Sorry. So the great story, Sitaya's Mahacharitam Ramayana. But everybody said Ramayana, Ramayana, it's short and quick to say, no? So then they forgot the whole title. So he was actually talking about Sita and her greatness.
Gee, then why does Sita go to the forest and has the boys?
Why does Sita goes to the forest? For what?
After the coronation,
That is later.
That is that is much later. That is not brought out in the Valmiki Ramayana. That is called Uttarakanda, because people like you had questions. And so to answer those questions, they said that why she went into the forest was because her task was done, his task was one. They came to do a particular purpose there. He was supposed to come and liberate Ravana and settle dharma in the world, because a lot of Rakshasas had invaded and those gunas were there. So the purpose for which Vishnu came down as Rama and the Vishnu avataram, and Shiva and Shakti came down, was to um, do this job. The job was done once Ravana was defeated and the place was purified, and Sita came and she put her, looked at all the places I traveled, she blessed those places, it became prosperous. He started Ramaraja, work was done, then he was still hanging around. So they had to, the gods had to see that somewhere they have to leave, no, you can't be sitting. So it was created that she went back to the earth the way she came.
Oh.
And then Rama, following it in a short while, he went into the Sarayu, and he also went back. In fact, the gods come and tell Rama, see, you've done your work, you came for this, and you've been hanging around for quite some time now. You need to go back. Sita is there waiting for you, and so is Lakshmana, that is Adisesha. So it's time you came back. So one by one, they left the way they wanted to. See, you should never think of these people as having the same consciousness that we have. There was no difference between Sita and Rama's anyonya, they say, that they were not different. They were the same energy. They had the same harmony in their mind. What one thought, the other would accomplish. So it was not as though he said, you go and she sat here and things like that. It's his energy. That is why you can see many movies, you can read many thrillers, you will forget them after you read. Now, if you try to remember what you read when 10 years ago, 15 years ago, you won't remember, even though you might have been thrilled reading those books. But books like the Ramayana, Mahabharata and all, they will stay over thousands of years. Why are they still alive? Because they are not just stories. They have truth in them. The Satyam is in them, manifesting in a particular way. So because of that, it remains immortal. That is why we remember all this.
Auntie, so the female counterpart of Narayana is Shiva? Is that what it is?
The female counterpart of Narayana is Narayani, his Shakti, right?
So
And the female Shakti, wait, the female Shakti, like a wife, if you want to say, is of Shakti, is Shiva, the male counterpart. So Shiva and Vishnu are actually the same. But because humans get this confusion, they say one is a brother, one is a wife. Because there is only one divinity, one supreme being. When he maintains the world, he is called Vishnu. When he dissolves it back to the source, he is called Shiva. When he recreates it, he is Brahma. And she is called the Parabrahma Swarupini. That she is the one who creates Brahma, Vishnu and Shiva, because she is the womb of the universe. Everything is born from her and goes back.
Okay.
That's how they say. These are the rahasyas in the stories.
Okay. Thank you, Auntie.
You're welcome. So we'll meet sometime after a month, I think.
What are you going to teach next, Auntie?
I haven't thought about it, but I'll think about it after about 15-20 days.
Please do, Auntie. It's you otherwise.
I will. And I told Deepa I will give her the things that I have spoken to for our students here. You got it, no? Has
yes,
Shivani sent it to you?
yes, she has.
Okay.
We are just looking into how we can move ahead with it maybe we can create a YouTube channel. We'll talk about that later,
Yeah,
where
yeah,
we can
yeah.
go and look at it on our own.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah.
Thank you so much,
So
Auntie. Taking
thank
out
you.
your time.
Thank you.
Thank
It
you
was
so
very
much.
nice having all
Thank
of you because you were
Thank you,
there. I
Auntie.
went again to read the Ramayana. So that was my luck.
Thank you, Auntie. Very
Thank you, Auntie.
Hari Om,
Thank you,
Hari Om,
Auntie.
Hari
Hari
Om.
Om.
Thank you for everything. Thank you.
That's
Hari
it.
Om.
Hari
Hari
Om.
Om.
Hari Om. Hari Om.
Have a
Tom
good night.
will meet us. I will have a good night in 4 hours. I'll be meeting you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ji. I just feel very blessed I
Thank
was able to
Most bless.
take part.
Hari Om.
Hari Om. Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Annapurna. I always, in my mind, I think of her as Annapurna, and so I can't say anything else. I forget her real name.
Thank you.
Adu.
Hari Om.
Hari Om.
It's time. Hari Om.
Oh.
Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Hari Om.